What you're hearing right now is the theme to Fallout. And so is this. So is this. Those three notes have come to define Fallout, a motif so powerful that it helped to underscore one of the Fallout TV show's most impactful moments. That's important, because when I say Fallout music, you're probably just as likely to imagine this.
Baby, you'll think of me.
As you are this. But this music is the emotional underpinning of the Fallout world, and it exists because of Inon Zur.
This kind of opportunity that these three notes create, it's like a treasure for not only me, for any composer. Hi, my name is Inon Zur. I am a media composer. I compose music for film, TV, but in the last 27 or 8 years, music for computer games. Later on, I could tell you and how we could use or interpret from an emotional point of view these three notes. But I didn't think about it this way. I cannot tell you. I just thought, oh, it's cool.
There is something going on here, even if Inon got there unconsciously. But as I would learn from him, that's kind of the magic of composing music. It takes ingenuity, intuition, and sometimes a secret third thing. Todd Howard. The third thing is Todd Howard. But first, let's talk about what Fallout's music needs to do.
When there is a soundtrack behind a film and the music plays, you see what you see, but you feel what the music tells you to feel. And this is the power of music. For me, more than anything else, is like, all right, so what's the narrative? What's the story? And that's how we start.
But the narrative that Inon is serving changes with each Fallout game. Fallout 3 is bleak and ominous, while Fallout 76 is your personal adventure in a maybe healing world. And so every time Inon returns to his three-note motif, he's thinking about what he needs to do and how he can support the game's narrative. Fallout 3 was Bethesda's first entry in the franchise, and it's a bigger, more operatic game than the isometric adventures that preceded it. And Inon's first attempt at its tone didn't quite hit the mark.
It was made, and the solo instrument was duduk, which is a Turkish instrument. It went like ta-ra-ra-ra, something like that. Todd Howard, and it's like, yeah, I kind of like it, but it's not as excessive. Why don't you try to give me something very concise, very short, very something memorable?
Todd Howard mentioned.
The big milestone for Fallout 3 was actually the first time that the known famous theme, the three notes, was created.
C, E flat, and E.
I remember that there was kind of a eureka feeling, but I remember that the eureka feeling came because there are so many harmonic possibilities with this kind of theme. Later on, I could tell you and go on, and probably we will, how we could use or interpret from an emotional point of view these three notes. Like, hey, we have a minor third and then goes to a major third. Da da da. Right? So like the despair and the hope, and that's the duality that fights itself all the time inside the Fallout games.
Fallout 3's theme builds to the point where it's got a pounding drum beat that's a lot more frantic than the measured horns on top of it, which works because this is no longer a turn-based game. You are in the real-time shit. It's steely and militaristic, echoing the way the world has organized into violent factions. The menacing horns play nicely with the change to first-person point of view. From this perspective, the Wasteland is scarier than it's ever been.
Todd Howard, one of the gifts that he has, he's not a musician. He doesn't understand music. What he does understand, he understands emotions and drama.
And in the world of entertainment, there are very few things as good as Fallout.
He said, this is it. he also, probably didn't think about the despair and hope, but something in him said, this is what's going to work for our game.
The soundtrack to Fallout 3, taken as a whole, couldn't belong to any other game. But when you strip away all of this, the motif is very flexible, and that's what makes it special.
For example, Star Wars theme. Da 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 da. You could understand it pretty much only in one way, which is triumphant, right? Of course, you could play it in minor, and you could play it in other ways. But the Fallout theme is different in the way that da da da. The notes are going to remain the same, but you could, just by putting different chords under them, it takes you to a whole different world. In Fallout New Vegas, I brought some hints of the main theme, but I did not really use it in such a clear and pronounced way. Fallout 4, Todd was very clear about it, and he wanted the main motif to be revisited. Unlike 3 that is dark but massive, 4 is more intimate, it's about family. And I said to Todd, I really hear piano playing the theme. And he said, wow, brilliant idea, let's do it. And I went, and I have a very nice grand piano in my house, and I positioned the microphones, and I played the theme, and great, and sent it to Todd, and Todd said, I don't like it. It's like, but you told me piano. It's just like, yeah, but something, I really like the melody, I like how it works, but something in the whole setting and the sound, it just doesn't work.
Ynon revisited a tactic that he had taken with Fallout soundtracks before. Make it weird.
So I took the organic classical sound of piano, but layered it with some weird synthetic piano and created this a bit of a distance, almost a little out of tune piano sound, and sent it to him, and then he said, that's it. So if Fallout 3 I featured the very low ominous brass, and in Fallout 4 I featured the piano, here I featured strings, and I featured strings in a very expressive way.
Fallout 76 presented a different challenge. Instead of being a single-player narrative, now the player is one of many stepping out of their vault on Reclamation Day, the day when finally humanity is supposed to be safe, to rebuild a beautiful, shining society.
Well, things are deteriorating quite fast right after that, as we know, but it starts from a high point.
Because 76, more so than any other Fallout game, is the player's story, the theme needs to be a little more triumphant. It's your adventure. Get out there and change the world.
So I took 90% of the tension in this rendition, and even the theme is very diatonic and not chromatic anymore.
Diatonic scales are the foundation of Western music, dating back to the medieval period.
The musical scale is divided into 12 notes. The major chord, is only 8 notes, so we're skipping some of these notes.
8 notes that scale upward, you've probably heard them a million times.
And when you say diatonic, that means that you're employing mostly a whole note and not half note.
The major scale creates big sounds and loud emotions.
When you play a major chord, you feel kind of happy. When you play a minor chord, you feel kind of maybe a little sad. But these are definitive feelings. When you're going into chromatic elements, that means that you're employing half notes. Now, half notes are always a bit unsettling.
The chromatic scale is a 12-tone scale. To put it in the simplest sense, you're using the whole piano instead of just the white keys. It produces sounds that are more complex.
The chromatic elements are blaring everything, are fogging everything. And you're not so much grounded anymore, and things could go anywhere. And this is the difference between, Fallout 3, Vegas, and 4 to 76, which is very diatonic. You know where you are. It feels very grounded.
That's the feeling that sets Fallout 76's rendition of the theme apart from the versions that came before.
Da 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 da. Dee da 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 dee da 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 da. Right? We don't hear any tension. I am just throwing a little hint that maybe some shit is going to happen just in the beginning, where you hear like the guitar chord, which is very clean, but then you hear like the strings, and the strings are mildly but still very noticeably detuned, and you could hear this kind of a bit unsettling sound. It's not like a classical sound. It's something different. And this is what I wanted, because right after this intro, we're embarking into the main theme, which is very much almost happy, I would say.
That happiness and confidence is also communicated by 76's featured instrument, strings. The fiddle doesn't just evoke the hominess of West Virginia.
The string, when they play harmonies and melodies, they are very warm. And this is what I was shooting for. I was shooting for warmth. And if I wanted to tell you, beware in Fallout 3 or in Fallout 4, heartfelt, here I wanted to tell you, okay, get excited. You're embarking on a new journey with a lot of opportunities, and you should be very excited and even optimistic. Music, more than anything else, is a way of communication. It is a language, and so language could give us information, but the way we use the language also creates emotions.
Thinking about all of this, we can look at where the theme appears in the Fallout TV show. The creators held back for 5 episodes before they let it rip, and they picked a precise moment to do it. Spoilers ahead! I'm going to talk about some plot reveals from episode 5 through to the end of the Fallout TV series. Right now. In this scene, Lucy is in an unfamiliar vault, having her world turned upside down. She was taught that after the bombs fell, the vaults were a safe haven, while the surface went into chaotic, uncivilized freefall. But this flag for the new California Republic tells her that humans actually did try to organize. There was a society, and they had what she recognizes as symbols of order. The theme is present here in all its murky chromatic glory. But there's a little bit of triumph, too. Not the militaristic, in-your-face blare of brass, but the quiet warmth of the strings. It perfectly represents not just what the town of Shady Sands was to people like Maximus, who lived there before it was nuked into oblivion by vault dwellers, but also the uncertainty of Lucy's discovery, and how it destabilizes the world that she thinks she knows. Neat trick.
This is the first time they played the music, and I think, in fact, and I'll be very honest with you, they made a great choice. They were patient, because sometimes you really need to be patient. And then when they brought it, all the Fallout players, for them, it was like a a very big moment.
The YouTube comments on this scene back that up. For people who love Fallout, finally hearing this music halfway through the series gave them goosebumps. It made them tear up. It made them excited. This music brings out people's emotions, because that's what good music is designed to do. Over years of association with a beloved series, but also through the way that it's crafted and played.
I don't need them to connect to me. I need them to connect to the music. And I really need the music to do its job, which is really take the participant and put them inside this emotional journey. So every time I see some evidence that this works, it just gives me a lot of pleasure. And this way, I'm so thankful for everybody who are participating and listening to the music, because I could write as much as I can, but we are nothing without the people that are listening.
I feel like my voice is super vocal fry today. Make it weird. Make it weird. What's going on with me? Fallout. What's wrong with me?
It's pronounced Fallout.
Fallout. Fallout.